I've battled with thyroid issues for more than 20 years. At one point, I even bordered between hyper and hypo because, you don't have thyroid issues without first having hyper, right? It works excessively and then it gets exhausted. So hyper and then hypo. And so at one point, I bordered between the two. And I knew that because of the symptoms. I knew enough to know that if I had a tachycardia and all the other symptoms associated with hyper, then my thyroid was hyper. And if I was battling mood swings and weight gain, I knew I was bordering on hypo. So the symptoms identified for me what was going on. And so I would address it with herbs. And I did it for many, many, many years. The reason I say I went by symptoms was because I'm not a blood tester person. I don't go to the doctor. And I don't go get tested frequently. And in fact, I don't. The only times I've been to the doctor is through my 2 pregnancies. So I grew up this way and followed it all the way through. And through the pregnancies, then I would know how I was doing in terms of blood tests. And on my 2nd pregnancy, the doctor identified that I had thyroid issues and tried to put me on medication, which of course I knew enough to not do, so I didn't. But I knew by the symptoms that it was not getting better, that it was where it had to be, but it wasn't getting better. And I knew enough to address the adrenal glands, which are the root, one of the roots for the thyroid issue, and the thyroid. So I knew enough to try to go to the root, but it just never got better because the symptoms were always there. I got into soul. And when I got into soul, I thought nothing was going to change because I really didn't feel very different. I did know that I couldn't get up in the mornings. And so there I was, again, bordering on hypothyroid. And I also knew that there were symptoms that still told me I wasn't doing well. But because I was still functioning, I never thought soul would do anything different for me. I thought it would pick up where my Western herbs had left me at. Big surprise when a year and a half, almost 2 years into soul, I end up having to have another blood test. No, not because I got pregnant, but because we were trying to get life insurance and they had to test us. And lo and behold, my numbers for the thyroid were fine. And that's when I realized what soul had done for me. And so I love soul for that reason. I love so much about soul, but that's one of the many things that it has done for me.